What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another stream, and today we are doing more of the same stuff that I've been doing in the past couple of streams, working on the big final piece to the Mazah region project, or at least my contribution to the Mazah region project, which is updating the key art for all of the Pokemon in the Pokedex. Well, not all of them, but all of the Pokemon that need updates. If you're just joining in this stream, welcome. Last week I did like a whole stream where we decided which Pokemon that I've already designed need updates, and then I started doing it. Then I started making the changes. I've done a few so far already that will be featured in a video, but for now, guys can take a sneak peek. Just finished updating Shibalbat. Hold on, it'll show up in a second. There's a bit of a lag from... There we go. So updated Shibalbat. I'm not moving as quickly as I wanted to. I'm not going to go through all of these, but Rototona, the Ziazayalime, Beak Peep, which I said, and then Tichupi and Lupacabra, which leaves just Zolupine. This will be the third iteration of Zolupine, actually. So yeah, welcome. Get cozy, and we're just gonna... I don't know if I'll be able to finish Zolupine in today's stream, but that's the goal. Make good progress at the very least. So with Zolupine, we decided not too many changes. Mostly just some minor tweaks to things like anatomy and some visual clarity updates. You know what? I need to refill my water. I'll be right back. I forgot to do that before the stream started. Okay. I will be properly hydrated now. Hydrate or dihydrate? You know it. I appreciate that, Kayumi. It's so funny, drawing with an audience because, I think my internal perspective of my artwork is, well, obviously different from what other people see. It's because if you asked me, I would say this sketch is looking pretty sketchy. Smooth is not the word I would use to describe this, but that's the thing about art. It is entirely dependent on people's perspectives. Alright, I'm gonna give you guys a little mini art lesson here. Alright? Some of you are probably already familiar with this term, but I'm going to introduce those of you who are new to it to the concept of tangents. Now, a tangent is when two lines intersect at a place that unintentionally abstracts some information in your design. For example, here's a tangent in my original, or my second drawing of Zolopine. This line touches this line here, and because this and this are the same color, and these lines look like they're connected, it makes it seem like the arm is coming out of Zolopine's back, rather than being part of the tail here. Right? So that's what's actually happening. Because of this tangent here, it makes it look like the arm is coming out of the back. And so now, sometimes tangents can mean, confusion. Sometimes tangents can just lead to awkward negative spaces, like here. Like if I don't move this other paw, this is gonna get this little weird, awkward shape here, and it looks weird, right? The gesture of this line kind of continues into this hand, and it makes it look confusing. So while you're sketching, it's a good idea to eliminate awkward tangents. Here we just move this paw away a little bit, and we free up that negative space there. And it happens to me all the time. Like, this is, like, I think the easiest mistake that a lot of people do. And it's one of those things where it's helpful to have someone else point it out to you, because sometimes you won't notice it. Like this, I did not notice when I first drew it, but a lot of people pointed out, it's like, oh, it looks like the hand is coming out of his back. So that's something I want to make sure I don't do again in this illustration, in this version of his design. Any tips for not feeling stuck in your art? Well, I mean, that's like the age-old problem, right? As an artist block. I think solving artist's block is not something you can do all the time with your art. I think artist block has to be overcome through exterior motives. I think you have to find inspiration somewhere else. You have to find confidence somewhere else. Like for me, if I'm feeling stuck in my illustrations, I just like to relax. I like to do something that takes my mind off of whatever is making me feel stuck. Usually a video game, or a book or a movie. Oh, I'm gonna be honest, not usually a book. Book on tape. And usually through those things that I do recreationally, I get inspirations that sort of draw me back. The other thing I think a lot of people have trouble with artist block is they feel like they have to keep returning to the thing that they got stuck on. Like, they're not happy with something, and they're like, ugh, alright, I have to keep going back until I'm happy with this. I think that's a huge trap that a lot of people fall for. I think, you know, even if you're not super happy with a piece, if it's really draining you, like it feels like you're not making it look any better, and every time you look at it again, it's just like, nope, I hate this, I hate this. Sometimes it's okay to say, you know what? Fine, I don't like this. I'm gonna move on, and give yourself some time, give yourself some space between yourself and the piece, and then come back and look at it like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month later. And sometimes you come back and you look at it, and it's not nearly as bad as you thought it was. Or sometimes you come back and look at it, and you're like, yep, this was shit, I'm glad I moved on from it. But it's important to then look at it and say, alright, what don't I like about this? What am I going to do differently so that it doesn't end up like this piece again? Be very aware of your process when you're getting stuck, and try to figure out what part of your process you're tripping up on. Is it the conceptual stage? Is it the sketching stage? Is it the final line and color stage? Is it presentation? And dwell on that. Ruminate on it. So that you don't get stuck there again. Or if you do get stuck there again, you have some ways to pull yourself back. Don't know if you saw my questions, but why is the hand so rotating outward? Why is the hand so rotating outward? I don't know. It's just the pose I thought looked cool. Made him look really like he's just leapt down or crawling along rocks or something. Kind of want to have this sort of like creepy cryptid thing going on with this character. It's scrambling along wet rocks, kind of like a golem sort of thing going on. Am I closing that door, Claire? Are you happy with the fact that many people now know you as the Mazah region guy? That's a very interesting question. I mean, I'm very proud of the Mazah region. I love this project, and I love everything I've done for it. I do want to be able to just be an illustrator and not just be a Fakemon illustrator. You know, so for example, there are almost 400 viewers in the stream right now. I stream a lot, and I stream other things other than Fakemon stuff, but people usually just... So there are like almost 400 people in this chat. If I was just streaming like my commission work, so like I think like a week ago, I was streaming my process for this illustration. And for this illustration, I had maybe about 40 to 70 people in my streams. And I'm really proud of this. I think this is a really cool piece. I think this is a good example of my skills as an artist. But you know, right now the way I've sort of marketed subjectively, it's mostly a Fakemon channel. So a lot of the fans who have come to this channel are really just interested in Fakemon. They're not really interested in my art. So I do want to pivot the channel away from just doing Pokemon designs so that I am not just a Fakemon artist anymore. But I do like the Mazah region. I like the influence that I've had on people with the Mazah region. You know, I think subjectively as a whole has really inspired a lot of people to make Fakemon regions. I've noticed that the genre of YouTube videos has become a lot more popular since we've started making Fakemon videos. And I like that. I think that's super cool. I mean, I love Pokemon. Pokemon has always been a huge artistic inspiration for me. But I want to be able to talk about things other than Pokemon and have people be genuinely interested in that. Mods, can we get someone in chat to ban this subjectively Claire? Yeah, this is someone I queued up with in League last night, and she's really salty because she stole a kill from me. She's been stalking me. I think she knows where I live. Oh, you're recording this for the video. All right, everyone, say hi to YouTube. Claire's gonna use this footage in one of our upcoming videos. Hi, Dead Bread Spread. He's on YouTube. Whoa. It's wild. How do I feel about Origin Palkia? I think it's literally the worst design Pokemon has ever done. I definitely don't think it's the worst design Pokemon has ever done. I think it's very different from a lot of other Pokemon. I consider the Origin Dialga Palkia designs to be kind of akin to the Ultra Beasts, in so much as they're not really supposed to look like they fit in with the rest of Pokemon. They are literally deities. You know, just like how the Ultra Beasts are from other universes, Origin, Dialga, and Palkia are from another dimension. So I think they're weird looking, but I think it's super intentional, and I don't have a problem with it just because it doesn't look like Palkia or it doesn't look like other Pokemon. I think they definitely give final boss vibes. I think the final boss fight in Pokemon Legends Arceus was incredibly intense. Even though they're not like, you know, even though I would have designed them differently, I think that the intention behind them reads. And even though I kind of thought they were weird at first, I don't really have a problem with them. In fact, I think they do a good job with the role that they fill in the game. I think the worst Pokemon ever designed is Conkeldurr. That thing's an abomination. But I don't have a good reason for why I don't like it. I just don't like it. I can't give you an objective reason why it's a bad design. All I can say is that I think it's fucking gross. That's interesting. I've never really compared them to Giratina's origin form. Yeah, I guess if you were to say on that metric, like, Giratina versus Origin Giratina, and then, like, Dialga versus Origin Dialga versus Palkia versus Origin Palkia, then yeah, they probably do feel a little out of place, but I've actually never made that comparison. Objectively, the skin flap dangling off of its head. Yeah, that and like the veins. I think that's my probably my least favorite part. If I can get rid of one, Conkeldurr or Raticate, which do I choose? No, Conkeldurr in a second. Raticate is mostly a bit. I don't really hate Raticate the way I hate other Pokemon designs like Jinx or Conkeldurr. I just think Raticate's fucking ugly. And it just disappoints me that Raticate sort of ended up setting the standard for like Route 1 normal type Pokemon to just be like brown and rodents. Which is interesting because Gen 2's and Gen 3's Route 1 normal types are both way better than Raticate. Which is, I love that Rattata is purple. I love that Rattata is purple and has like a swirly tail for no reason whatsoever. And I think it's really cute. And then for some reason, all of the fun, interesting things about Rattata that made it feel like, you know, a fantasy monster and not just a cartoon rat just go away with Raticate. And then all of a sudden you just have this, like, muskrat that is just angry and ugly and evil. Have I ever played or heard of Psychonauts? I have never played it, but I have heard of it and I've seen some gameplay from it. I would probably enjoy it. Isn't Psychonauts where the, like, singing pufferfish is from? The, tra-la-la-la-la-da-da-da-da. Don't pee on the floor, use the Commodore. Isn't that from Psychonauts? I love that fish. That's awesome. I love the singing pea fish. What is my next big project after I'm finished with the Mazah region? Well, I think I was gonna say I would keep it a surprise, but I think I've actually already talked about it on stream before, so I'll just tell you. I want to make I want to come up with a concept for a different kind of collectible monster game. I want to do something similar to Pokemon, but I want to make it my own. And it is going to exist in the same universe as Apocryphal, so Apoctober and Mermaid. and it's going to feature the Enigmorphs. If you guys are fans of Apocryphal, it will feature the Enigmorphs as the collectible monsters. And that is going to be my next big project. But I also want to have other things on the YouTube channel other than just that one big project. I want to sort of diversify my audience so I can do like some more broad topic art discussion videos. Probably. Yeah, it's a giant lumber truck, I guess. Big Gen 4 vibes. I can kind of see that. I see what you're saying, man. What are characteristics that make me say this is Pokemon art style? So here's the tricky thing about Pokemon art style. If you're referring to like the key art, right? So the 2D images that they use in promotional material or in things like the card games or stuff like the Pokedex, if you had like a printed guide or something, or if you went on like Bulbapedia, that's the key art. That changes pretty much every generation. And recently, it used to be just Ken Sugimori who did the artwork, but recently other artists have been doing the key art as well. So that also is affecting the style. I think in general, something that makes Pokemon key art look official, even if it's Fakemon art, is legibility. That's the number one thing. If anything looks ambiguous in the key art, anything other than like, a kid thinking that Diglett's nose is actually its mouth, for the most part, as long as it looks pretty legible, things like dimensionality isn't confusing. Things like, tangents, that makes it feel like official Pokemon art. They don't usually use a ton of hyper-saturated colors, but again, that's changing. So I can't really say that's like a be-all, end-all identifier of official-looking Pokemon art. Clean line work, good sense of light, shadow, casting values, good sense of texture. But then all of these aspects simplified in a way that's not quite anime, but definitely influenced by anime. Oh yeah, I love Dredge. I got Dredge a couple months ago. Absolutely love Dredge. I still haven't finished it though. I think I will be able to finish Overpine on this stream. The sketching process didn't take as long as I thought. Like I said, I'm not changing too much about it. Posture check, yeah. I need a better, well, I need a couple of different upgrades to my workstation, but I have this awesome combination of being very tall, having poor eyesight, and not having a big enough screen to work on. Which basically amounts to me having to hunch over anytime I work. I wish my chair could go a little lower, but this is the lowest it goes. What brushes do I use? I use the Poketo brushes. It's a pack of brushes that Claire and I designed. Well, Claire designed most of them. I designed one. And, yeah, but we didn't really change much after I did the testing. They were pretty much good. And those are available for sale if you see the link to our Gumroad in the description of this stream. You can purchase those. There are also a couple other different packs. Just general painting brushes that I also use in my commission work. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear that truck or something that's outside right now. I don't know what the fuck's going on out there.
All right, I feel good.
How's my Red Dead progress been going? I haven't touched it in like a week, actually. The last thing I did was... I think I saved... What was her name? Do you remember the name of the woman that was Arthur's, like, ex? Yeah, his old flame. He had to save her brother from the cultists. It was like Mary Beth or something. I think that was the last thing I did. Then you had to shoot his gun out of his hand because he was about to shoot himself. And you have to like do like the quick draw and just shoot the gun out of his hand before he shoots himself in the head. The irritating thing about that specific quest was
All right, I
don't have a very fast horse. I kept the like giant Shire horse that you get for free at the beginning of the game, because I think he looks really cool. He's fucking huge, but he's really not fast. And there's a part in that quest where you have to chase the brother on horseback, and I had to redo that part like 6 times because he kept getting away, because my horse was not very fast. There will be a big video. Actually, our goal is to get this video out by the end of this week. I still have a few more changes I have to do, but Claire's already started editing it. So the goal is to get it out by Friday, hopefully. But I might have to wait until next week. Because what? That's true. I don't know if there's a release date right now for Project Untamed. I don't think so. They're kind of just taking their time, and I respect that. I think the best projects in this world are always worth waiting for. You know, when I heard that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was delayed like 6 months, I was like, fuck yeah. Keep working on it. Thank you, DJ Ryolu. Appreciate that. Honestly, I wasn't I never played Red Dead 1. Well, I played a little bit of it. But unfortunately, you can't buy it on the PlayStation Store. And I have a PS5. I don't have a PS3. We actually have the disc because Claire had it from when she was a kid. But it's for the PS3, and the PS5 is not backwards compatible. I wanted to play it first, but it straight up told me when I put the disc in, it was like, yeah, we can't read this disc, sorry. So I skipped Red Dead 1, and I was not expecting the horse mechanic to be so involved. You can really get some specific stats on your horses. I didn't think there were going to be different species of horses, or rather different breeds of horses, I guess. They're probably all the same species. I don't really know how horse breeding works. Yes, we found that out when we started playing it. Because Claire was like, oh wait, that's the guy from the first game, and the guy in the first game dies at the end of the first game. So I'm pretty sure this is the events preceding that. And I was like, oh, okay. Thank you, Ben. Let me angle the camera down so you guys can see more than just my big bald head. If I were to create another Fakemon region, what region of our planet would I base it off of and why? You know what? If I were going to make another Fakemon region, I would not base it off of one specific region of the real world. I find it a little frustrating now that this trend has been created among the Fakemon community, and even among the official Pokemon community, where every region has to adhere to one specific real-world point of origin. Because that's just not how it is in Pokemon. Like, yeah, there are clear, like, cultural references made. You know, the Alola region, obviously, like, Aloha. But people sort of conflate that, you know, sort of jumping off point with, like, some rule of design. Like, if you're making it based off of Hawaii, every Pokemon in that region needs to be, like, based off of something from Hawaii. And yet there's, like, a giant isopod Pokemon, a toucan, an anchor, you know, so I would want to break away from that. And I am going to break away from that by not making a Fakemon region. I think in general, the rules and restrictions of designing Fakemon are part of why I want to take a break from designing Fakemon in general, because it just gets a little frustrating and a little limiting. If Mazah Region was an actual game, what would the title be? Honestly, I like Project Untamed. I don't think I would do anything different. And I didn't even come up with that. What the dog doing? Swimming. Swimming in the cenotes. Pokemon Weir and Pokemon Back. I like that. See, this is when it gets tricky because, you know, if it was an actual official, like if we're asking like what would it be if it was an official game, there is no way in hell that Game Freak would release a game called Pokemon Predator. That would just never happen. Like, I understand the context, but a lot of people wouldn't. And you have to think of it from a marketing perspective, and like, you know, the average mom going to buy their kid a video game. It's like, what do I want to get him? Kirby or Pokemon Predator? But then again, like, we're not marketing this. We don't have to worry about that. Because we're not trying to market to one of the biggest and broadest demographics in video gaming. But also, like, you know, if we're thinking about it not as in an official Pokemon game, why make two versions? You know, the only reason they've ever made two versions of Pokemon games is just so they can sell twice as many copies. Like, if we're making a fan game and we're not actually trying to sell it, why make two versions? To have regional exclusives or version exclusives? I mean, that's kind of fun, but the only reason those exist is so that they can try to sell more copies of the same game. It's brilliant. Don't get me wrong. It's brilliant. That was absolutely genius of them. They'd just be like, "Oh, let's just make the same game, but sell 2 different versions of it." Well, what's the difference between the 2 different versions? I don't know. There's like 3 different Pokemon that you can't catch in that one. The rival's name is different. Like, could you imagine if a game company tried to do that in 2023? Like, if they tried to just sell the same game, but with a different name twice? You imagine how upset people would be? Can you imagine if there was just like Legends of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Red and Blue, and like the only difference between the 2 different games is like Zelda gets a different outfit, or sorry, Link gets a different outfit. I'm sorry, I'm a fake fan. In different games. Like, could you imagine how fucking pissed people would be? And each game is $60. It does kind of seem like something Call of Duty would do, honestly. Like, when I was a kid, I never even questioned it. And, you know, when I came up with ideas for Fakemon, and, you know, I'd come up with my own idea for a game, I would be like, you know, Pokemon Opal and Pokemon Jade. But then I was like, what? You know, as an adult, I'm like, why do that? If you're not trying to sell a game, why make 2 versions of the exact same thing? And it's so brilliant now because now people don't question it. You know, like, you know, if they remove some of the Pokedex, they don't put all 1,000 Pokemon in one game. That's upsetting to people. But the idea that they're still selling 2 versions of the same game, no one questions that. Because that's just how Pokemon has always been. It's brilliant. They can literally always count on doubling their sales for every single Pokemon game they make. The brush I'm using right now is called the Poketo Liner. It was designed by me, and it is available for sale on our Gumroad. If you check the link in the description of this stream, check out Subjectively's Gumroad, and you can buy and download these brushes for Photoshop and Procreate. Yeah, and then they do a 3rd game. See, that's why when people were like, with Sword and Shield, when they decided to sell DLC instead of another game, like a whole 3rd game, I was like, wait, that's so much better. It's half the price, and it adds on more than most of like the 3rd version of any game usually does. I think that the DLC, to me, like, you know, I love Pokemon Emerald, I love Platinum. All of those 3rd games, they're great. I'm not saying they're bad, but do they really justify an entire 3rd game purchase, like a year later? I would say the modern consumer would say no. I think if they did Pokemon Sword, Shield, and Gun, the average adult consumer would probably be like, nah. But the average adult consumer is like, oh, DLC? I'm used to that. I know DLC. I'll buy that for half the price of the full game. And it also felt worth it, too. Like, the DLC for Sword and Shield, like, it felt like I was paying for half of the content that I got in the full game. And then some, honestly. I like the DLC approach to the third game. Because then they also tried, before Sword and Shield, they tried Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Like, they were like, wait, why are we limiting ourselves here? Why not just try to sell 2 copies again the second time? Yeah, plus the DLC usually introduces new Pokemon. And now we have the kind of excitement of being like, okay, which Pokemon are going to be returning? You know, which Pokemon from the National Dex will we be able to have access to? Which is another thing I was never really upset about. When people were upset about... They're calling it Dexit. You know, people were like, oh my god, it's not going to be the full Pokedex. I was like, honestly, I'm surprised they didn't do this sooner. There are so many Pokemon. And now, like, the competitive Pokemon scene is a big deal. And can you imagine having to balance 1,000 Pokemon? Over 1,000. Think about that. The Pokemon competitive scene is a big thing. It's a big source of revenue for Pokemon now, right? This is something they have to consider. They would have to balance 1,000 Pokemon with every new generation. Think about any other online game that you play, right? Every time there's a new patch, every time there's a new character added, they have to rebalance all of the existing characters in the game. So now, anytime a new Pokemon is added to Pokemon games, to core series Pokemon games, they have to rebalance and readjust every other Pokemon. So instead of deciding to rebalance and readjust 1,000 Pokemon every time they add new ones, they were like, hey, here's an idea. Why don't we just limit it to like 500? Half of that. It's still a lot of Pokemon. And now we have this sort of new level of excitement where we're able to, you know, be like, oh, cool. My favorite Pokemon from an older generation is going to be returning in this gen. Makes Pokemon feel a little bit more special. Like Tropius. When they brought Tropius back in Scarlet and Violet, I was honestly like more excited for just seeing Tropius again than I was for a lot of the new Pokemon. I was like, sweet! Tropius, and he's standing now. It's not just levitating awkwardly without flapping its wings. Yeah, and that's the other thing that I think happened with the balancing, was removing the moves. Like, heal order. This will always upset me. I love Vespiquen. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. And I've loved my little, like, stall-out plays with Vespiquen. I know that's not fun. But for some reason, they decided that heal order was just too busted. And now Vespiquen can't learn one of its signature moves anymore. That was heartbreaking to me. What a Chad move. Onions have layers. Donates $2. What is the best cheese? Just ripped Shrek appears in my chat. What is the best cheese? Thank you for the donation. I am a big fan of Gouda. But it depends, because it's all about the context. Like on a cheese plate, I'm going for the Gouda. Or any kind of smoked cheese. Gruyere is good. Any kind of smoked cheese. But like if I'm making a sandwich, Munster. I think Munster on a sandwich every time. On a grilled cheese, on like a hummus, tomato, lettuce sandwich. And then of course, like I love mozzarella. You know, grew up with delicious mozzarella. Mozzarella you can use in almost anything. When I was a meat eater, what was my favorite? I think the meat that I miss the most is probably bacon. Because most other meats that I liked before I was a vegetarian are replicated pretty well without using meat now. Like, Beyond Burgers, Impossible Sausage, all of those things to me taste just as good as I remember hamburgers and sausages tasting. And I can actually confirm this because I have family who still eats meat, but they've been trying to get off of red meat to be healthier. And my fucking 85-year-old Italian grandfather loves Beyond sausages. He loves Beyond. He eats those instead of regular sausages now because they're healthier. And so that to me tells me that, like, okay, this must be a pretty good meat substitute. But there wasn't a really good substitute for bacon. However, now Morningstar makes like frozen veggie substitute bacon. And it used to not be good, but they must have changed something about the recipe because now I get it. And it's pretty fantastic. You know, it's not quite bacon because it doesn't have that fat. You know, that's really what it's missing. It's kind of a hard thing to replicate. But it gets that crispy and chewy texture. And if you fry it in the pan, you know, you get it in with like some butter and some salt. You can get it pretty greasy too. So, you know, I wouldn't say it's a perfect one-to-one recreation of real bacon, but it hits the spot when I'm craving bacon. Yeah, like the Beyond like crumbles, like you get like just like a bunch of ground beef, you know, in the Beyond or Impossible. Those are fantastic, and you can use that for anything. You can use it to make burgers, you can make a bolognese sauce, you can make tacos. You know, most nights I eat meat because I still like meat, but I don't eat animal meat. I eat the Impossible meat, and you know, chicken. Daring makes that really good chicken that you can put in a skillet, fry it up. Or just sear it, and you can put it in like a salad, you could bread it, and it's good. Like, it's fucking good. The only thing that I haven't really warmed up to, I'm not a vegan, I still eat cheese. I don't really drink milk so much anymore, because I don't love the dairy industry, but I buy eggs, I buy free-range eggs, because I like a good hard-boiled egg. And I do get cheese. I still eat cheese. I probably shouldn't eat as much cheese as I do. I don't think, you know, well, all humans shouldn't really eat cheese. But, you know, I love cheese. I can't. Vegan cheese has not really, it hasn't really reached that point yet for me where I can say it's a good replacement for real cheese. At least none of the vegan cheeses I've had. I've had vegan cheeses that are good, but they're just not cheese. You know, it's not the same thing. And I've seen ads for this new brand that I can't remember the name of, but apparently it's like actually melts, and it's a vegan cheese. And I want to try that because like that's another big thing. Usually when you get vegan cheese, it's like kind of watery. It's more like a sauce. Man, last weekend I ate so much cheese between like pizza and then pasta, and then like I went to my friend's house and we were playing a board game and they just put out like a charcuterie board, and it was delicious, and I kept eating cheese. And then we had some goldfish. My stomach was not happy. Like, I'm not lactose intolerant, but all humans are kind of lactose intolerant. Like, humans really shouldn't eat dairy in general. I feel like dairy is going to be one of those things where, like, 200 years in the future, they look back at our culture and our society today, and they were like, they eat what? They were eating cheese? Why would they do that? That's so bad. Like, I feel like that's going to be one of those things that, like, future scientists are going to be like, okay, like, 200 different common occurring health problems are caused by eating excessive amounts of dairy. And I think in the future we're just going to kind of pivot away from it. But I do still enjoy a good cheese. I always make jokes that, like, you know, if you were a different species and you owned a pet human and you brought it to the vet, and the vet, like, checks it out and like, oh, I'm noticing some stomach problems. What do you feed him? Oh, steak, milk, cheese. And the vet's just like, no, you shouldn't feed them that. Oh no, he likes it. He like, no, I know he likes it, but it's not good. They really shouldn't eat steak. I give them like a lot of sugar and fat. Yeah, that's not good. They shouldn't be eating that. I was watching a video, or a short, that I got recommended on YouTube, and it was like top 5 strangest cheeses from Italy. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of this before, but there's a type of cheese in Italy that they ferment by letting flies lay their eggs in it and having the maggots from the fly actually eat, digest, and then poop out the cheese. So not only are you eating cheese filled with maggots, the cheese you're eating is also basically maggot poop. I can't remember what they call it, but I remember watching something where Gordon Ramsay goes to Italy to try it. And it was so funny because, Gordon Ramsay's a big tough guy. He likes to seem really cool. And he likes to seem like he knows what he's talking about. But they give him that cheese. And you see him take a bite of it and he's like, wow. Fuck me, wow. Strange flavor. Yeah. Like he couldn't even pretend like it was good. He was like, oh, you can feel them. Oh, strange. Cheese is one of those foods where, like, the more you think about it, the grosser it gets. Yeah, right? No. It's delicioso. Have a little of the maggot of cheese. Molto bene. Here, I'll get everyone hungry again. I'll talk about these other videos that I've been getting recommended about strange fruits. I love fruit. I'm a fruity guy, okay? I'm pretty fruity. And I love exotic fruits. And there are just so many fruits that I have just never even heard of. And I want to just do like a world tour and go around the world and just try fruits from all around the world. And these videos where they describe what these different weird fucking fruits taste like. I'm like, I want that. I want to try these. I want to try all the weird fruits. A cheese maggot Fakemon. Wow, that could be kind of cool, actually. I know, Tubbs AZ is making a region. I think it's specifically based off of Greece. But if it was just like generic Mediterranean, kind of could fit that in there. Yes, soursop. That was one of the fruits in the videos that I was watching. Yes, there was soursop and sweetsop. Yes, and they're so weird looking, but the way they described the flavors of them really made me want to try them. Oh, Claire knows I'm a fruity guy. I also love fruity drinks. Like, I'm not a beer drinker. I'm not an ale drinker. I don't even really like wine, even though wine is technically made out of fruits. I like mixed drinks that have like a lot of syrups and fruit juices in them. Jabuticaba. It looks like a grape and grows on tree trunks. Interesting. I want to try like cacao fruit, like not the actual part that gets turned into chocolate, but like the fruit around it. I want to try that too. Apparently that has a really unique flavor. Apollo, thank you for the donation. On topic of foods, what is my favorite dessert? Tiramisu is your favorite? See, I don't like coffee. Claire likes tiramisu. I love the smell of coffee, but I don't like the taste. So I've never really loved tiramisu. I like cakes. I like cakey things. If I had to pick a favorite dessert, I would be here for hours. I'm just gonna go ahead and say what dessert I want right now. I want like a Claire's been talking about making this blueberry bread. Yeah, we call it bread. It's not bread. It's really a cake. I see. This is chat. Help me out with this one. I would say if it doesn't have yeast in it, it's not a bread, right? No, we call it a bread because we make it in a loaf, but it's a cake. I don't think it's a bread. I think it needs yeast in it to make it a bread. You have to have the process of it rising. What do you guys think about this? I'm not saying I don't like it in any way, shape, or form. I'm not saying we have to stop calling it bread. I think I need to clarify when I say blueberry bread, it's really just a blueberry loaf. And it's basically cake. Well, it's not as sweet because it doesn't have frosting. But it's pretty sweet. What am I doing with this? This is looking really weird. Okay, some people are saying no yeast equals not a bread. That's what I'm saying. See, I don't think it's... Because is a hot dog a sandwich? That's more of a... You know, there's more room for debate there.
Well, would they say a biscuit is not bread? Because I think a biscuit is bread. But there's
I would...
yeast.
I'd never say that a biscuit is bread.
I think it's analogous to a meal. Which is
That still has to rise. You still have to let that dough rise.
yeah.
You don't have to let the dough rise for... Because that's the difference. It's not really dough. When you're making the banana bread or the pumpkin bread or the blueberry bread,
It's more of a batter.
it's a batter.
Are we saying the dough batter division is the difference between a cake
Yeah,
and bread?
because a dough... Because then pizza dough you could also consider a bread. Because you have to let that rise.
Flatbread.
A flatbread. Some people call pizza flatbread.
I guess a flatbread is a bread. So that is a point to you that the nomenclature is.
It is. But also I would still argue that that is more like a bread because it has to rise. You have to let that rise. It's not just batter. Because again, yeah, like, or even something like soda bread, right? You still have to let that rise before you put it in the oven. You like, but with the banana bread, you just mix all the ingredients together and you just put it right in the oven. It's a batter, you know? It's the difference between a batter and a dough. I think that's gonna be my new argument. It's not that it needs yeast, but it's that the difference between a batter and a dough. But anyway, that's what I want right now. Because the other thing is, like, it's basically just... It's the same way you would make a blueberry muffin, except you're pouring it into a loaf tin instead of little muffin tins. And muffins aren't bread. I feel like we had a really conclusive ending to the argument about whether or not cereal is soup. Oh, you have to boil soup. I think that's what we agreed on. Even soup that's served cold, you do have to cook it.
Yeah, I would say, okay, this is gonna sound terrible, but I feel like cereal is more like a salad because you're mixing ingredients.
Yeah, see, this is when it descends into chaos.
And the milk is
The milk is the best.
it's just a lot of ingredients.
I guess so. Some people put that much dressing on their salads. Yeah, banana bread. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just want some sort of bread right now. But not a bread. A cake. I want some sort of cake right now. Dead bread spread doesn't like that you called cereal a salad.
I know, I said it would be controversial, but I'm not saying I would ever say, what kind of salad should I make? But
Yo, but that's like you're like...
I'm saying if we have to classify it, I think it's closer to a salad than it is to a soup.
That's like April Ludgate levels of just contrarianism, where you're just like trying to be difficult on purpose, and it's like, why isn't cereal a salad? The reason why I brought it up at all is because if I said blueberry bread, and someone is not familiar with that concept, they might think that it's like, yeah, like you slice off these dry, aerated pieces of dough, and it's a cake. It really is a cake. Because like cranberry bread, like when I say cranberry bread, I picture like risen dough, like the stuff that they had at Michael Mira's house last weekend, where it was like risen dough that, you know, they then put in the oven, and it's got a nice hard crisp exterior. It's very dry on the inside. It's got all the little air pockets in it from when the dough was rising. Cereal and salad are convergent evolution.
I agree with that.
Okay, alright, I'm fine with that. We've come full circle, now we're back to Pokemon. I am painting in 300 DPI right now. I do all my pieces at 300 DPI. And it's mostly just because for me, my work is on the internet. So I will be using the images that I draw in a lot of different settings. Sometimes the images are going to be big, sometimes they're going to be small, and sometimes they're going to be viewed by people who are using higher resolution screens than I am. So I always want my resolution to be at least 300 DPI so that it reads clearly on anyone's screen. Excuse me. Now I'm thinking about cereal. I'm thinking about how last night Maria just out of nowhere was just like, guns and oatmeal. It's just like an exclamation.
Well, she was thinking, for sun contracts, she was thinking about this skin line in League of Legends where it's like high fantasy Wild West. And her main, Ash, has a high noon Ash skin. It's pretty good. And she's obsessed with this one line that is an actual line. What is it?
Glory be.
Glory be.
Yeah, Ash saying Glory be is really funny. I love the High Noon skin line. It's really funny to me that, you know, it's so telling that when they release a skin line that really caters to the Chinese audience, the American fans are like, wow, just sucking off Chinese audiences, aren't you? And then I'm like, what about the fucking Christian cowboy skin line? I wonder who that's for. There's literally a skin in League of Legends that's just Uncle Sam. It does kind of seem like satire. Do you know if Procreate has a limit on the number of Kansas/projects files? I don't know. I would say no. I think it depends on the amount of memory you have on your iPad. I got a lot of memory on my iPad. I think I have like 256 gigs of memory on this. But I have been using the same iPad for about 6 years now, and I've never had to remove files because I'd said I couldn't make new ones. I do think it depends on how much memory you have on your iPad. Because I don't really put anything else on here. I don't really have like photos saved on here. I don't really have a ton of extra apps. It's pretty much just for my Procreate files. How do I remember all my Fakemon names? I don't. Sometimes I forget them. You know, if you asked me to list off every single Fakemon in my Pokedex, I wouldn't be able to do it. especially the ones that I drew a really long time ago. Like the names that are like really easy puns, like see, I can't even think of anything. Can't think of anything. Malukata. You know, mollusk and terracotta. That's like a super easy English play on words. Okay, yeah, now I'm trying to remember the second form of Seto Echo. I remember. I forgot for a second what Poresight's evolution was called. Yeah, it is ancient. I'm looking to buy a new iPad. I believe this is... I don't even know what model this is, but it's the 6-year-old version of it. Yeah, I went to the Apple Store last week to look at some of the new ones. I want a bigger one, and I want a nice new one, and I want a nice new stand to put it on. It is ancient. I mean, listen, here's the thing. It is really hung in there for me. This iPad is incredibly reliable. Like I said, I've had it for 6 years, and like there are a couple of minor issues. It doesn't hold a charge as well as it used to. Obviously, Apple products tend to do that. I have some issues with the touch screen, but that's more my fault because I never got a screen protector for it. You know, I get my greasy hands all over it, and it still works remarkably well. I've dropped it a handful of times. I literally just dropped it the other day, face down. So glad it didn't crack. But it's not even the first time I've done that. So like, it's a pretty reliable piece of hardware. I'm not gonna lie. Really, the main reason I want to get a new one is just because I want a bigger screen. Just because, like, look at this. This is like my favorite thing to do on stream. So here's my hand, and here's my iPad. My hand is literally bigger than my iPad. In every direction. And I went to the Apple Store and I looked at the new ones that are like 12 inches, and I'm like, holy fuck, this makes such a big difference. The brush I'm using from the line for the line art is the Poketto liner. That's what I use for the line art. I like it because it's got a little bit of grit to it. It's got a little texture. If you look at official key art for Pokemon from like the modern day, they actually don't really have grit. But I kind of like the slightly older, like Gens 5 through like I think 7 have a little bit of texture to them. I just like that little bit of texture. I see some innuendo in chat right now. Don't worry, I can handle 13 inches. I'm begging for 13 inches right now. I think it would just suit me a lot better. What, I'm talking about iPad screen sizes. What did you think I was talking about? Fruit! Alright, chat. What should I have? What should we have for dinner tonight? Tofu is part of the equation now. Finished university. Hey, congrats. We love to hear it. Shredded cheese. Cheese and bacon. Ooh, calzone. Ooh, that sounds good. Mac and cheese with broccoli and garlic. Ooh, can we do that? Do we have the stuff for that? Yeah, and we can put tofu in there. Ooh, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds delish. I didn't really have lunch. I should snack on something. What do we have? We have snacks? I feel like I ate all the snacks. Oh, those onion ring things that we got? Yeah, I'm not gonna eat those while I'm working. Gotta get more pretzels and hummus. It's like my favorite go-to snack. Could have some shredded cheese. That's for dinner though, right? Have I ever had... Oh boy, I don't even know how to pronounce what that is. Pozole? 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 No, I've never had that. I don't even know what that is. Thank you, Dinos Lucas Volto. Can't eat broccoli unless it's submerged in cheese? That's a shame. Broccoli is delicious. Well, I should rectify that. Broccoli itself is alright, but broccoli holds flavor so well, so if you cook it well, nice garlic, a little bit of salt, a little pepper, a little butter. Rizzo's Mexican soup with cracked grains, really good. Ooh, sounds pretty good. Try that. How do I fill and procreate? It's very simple. You just drag, you go up to your color wheel up here, just grab it and drag it, and whoop. Okay, it didn't work. I guess it's not as simple as I thought. There we go. And then now they just added a feature where you can do continue filling. Once you've dropped in your color, you can do, oh, oops. Lines not finished then. Make sure all your lines are filled in. Alright, guys, gals, and other pals. This isn't done yet. I still have to put in the textures and the values. But I'm going to take a break here. I need to eat a little snacky poo, I think, before dinner. But thank you guys all so much for watching. I'm going to be finishing Zolopine off stream. But I'll stream again tomorrow, and we can work on some of the other ones that need some changes. So if you'd like to come back and watch some more, please feel free. And I'll see you then. Peace.
Let's go, let's move side to side, let's go.